Heyo, and what is up, Sledgeheads? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight, Sledge Nation. We are just a little bit over a week away from this year's SummerSlam, and the Blue Brand is putting together a pretty decent side of the party for us. And this week on SmackDown, we got the face-to-face encounter between Roman Reigns and John Cena. We got a kind of underwhelming, very strange contract signing, which never really goes well when you're watching WWE. And most surprisingly, we had a very huge title change that I didn't really expect to happen so soon. And I want to know what you guys think, as we are here to talk about all of that and everything that was wrong with tonight's episode of SmackDown and so much more. My name is Nick Nightmare. You are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show SmackDown Review and Reaction Show. Let's bring the hammer down right now.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
You know, Monday Night Raw is always the one thing that a wrestling fan can watch to drain all of your emotion and just all of your caring completely out of your body. SmackDown is usually the antidote for that. It keeps you a little bit more upbeat. They give you some decent matches. They have the better matches going into SummerSlam as of right now. Think about it. They got the Universal Championship, Roman Reigns versus John Cena, Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair Part 2. You got a great grudge match between Edge and Seth Rollins, a virtual dream match that could not have happened just a couple of years ago, and a tag team championship match with three of the best tag team wrestlers on the planet and one giant baby man son to tag up with Rey Mysterio as Tiny Dad and the Baby Boy take on the Usos at SummerSlam. Right there, that's a solid half of the card coming from the Blue Brand. I just wish that the shows from week to week would echo this and would be just as good and just as interesting as the matches that they're putting together, because SmackDown on the whole was about as pleasurable as having to put Preparation H on a hemorrhoid. It had some of, pretty decent moments. Like we said, the face-to-face with John Cena and Roman Reigns is what kicked off this show. John Cena came out doing his whole you can't see me stuff and all that shit, and he got the crowd all hyped because that's what John Cena does. He got a tremendous pop. Everybody is on board with John Cena, and he wanted to give Roman Reigns his report card today. School has not been in session all year long. It's summertime. I know school's about to start up for some of you. It's not time for report cards, but I get what they're doing. In any case, John Cena gives Roman, on the average, a D, because Roman gets the D. Get it? It's a pee-pee joke. Get it? You getting the D, Roman. Oh, let's get risque. It's Attitude Era time. Oh, my God. But then he said that at SummerSlam, Roman is undoubtedly going to get an F because he is going to fail and John Cena is going to win. This, of course, brings out the tribal chief, the former big dog, Roman Reigns. And let me just say this before we go any step further. I never thought in my life I was going to see a wrestler take longer to get into the ring from the time his music hits to the time his feet hit the apron than The Undertaker. When I used to watch Taker come out, I used to feel like, oh my God, I am going to grow so old by the time he gets to the ring and they start this matchup. As much as I loved Undertaker, it used to feel like it took forever. The Undertaker has got nothing on Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns takes so long to get to the ring that I could grow old, die, be resurrected, grow old all over again, and then die again before he will even get halfway to the ring to begin his segment. Now let's talk about this as well. This is a very effective tactic that the champion can use prior to a big championship match. It's a great intimidation move. You're going to take your time. You're going to make your challenger wait. You're confident. You're just sauntering to the ring. I understand that if you're going to have a match But you can't do that every time you come out. Roman spent more time walking out to the ring than he spent actually saying words during this promo, which ended up being just like 20 minutes of John Cena pretty much going off. We got a bunch of immature jokes and stuff like that. John Cena wanted to know if your team Reigns. He wanted to know if your team Cena. And then he admitted that Roman Reigns is going to beat the snot out of him. He said, Roman Reigns, you're going to beat the hell out of me. And then he mocked Roman Reigns for being a guy with a limited moveset, which is like the pot calling the kettle black. But that's another story for another day. And Cena says all he needs is to hang on for a 1, 2, 3. And this was going to be the theme of John Cena's whole entire promo. For 20 minutes, John Cena kept counting to 3, and it was pissing off Roman Reigns, and he kept it bubbling underneath, but then he got really cheesy, and it felt kind of really scripted when it came to Roman. He was calling Cena one of the greatest of all time. He respects Cena, the whole Hollywood thing. He's going to send him back to Hollywood. He's already on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling, and blah, blah, blah. He gave him all this praise, and then told him, he expected him to bring something new. John Cena's still coming out, doing the same old shit. And it was just a very interesting back and forth. It just really went on way too long. This interview segment, this face-to-face took nearly 30 minutes. 30 minutes of John Cena hyping up the crowd and Roman Reigns standing there with that smug look on his face, and then they gave each other a couple of little jabs here and there. Roman threw in a dig about John Cena being in the missionary position and not being able to satisfy Nikki Bella, and it was weird. John Cena's best line was talking about how Roman Reigns ruined Seth Rollins and sent Dean Ambrose running out of the WWE. That he's got no more protection anymore. The machine's not gonna protect him. His big giant teeth aren't gonna protect him. And he's going to beat Roman Reigns 1, 2, 3. Very good start. I just wish they would have tightened it up and made it a little bit shorter, because it seemed to go on as long as Roman's entrance. You know what? Thinking back on it now, maybe if they would have cut Roman's entrance down just a little bit, this segment could have been whittled down to 5 minutes. Holy shit. But that was probably the highlight of the whole entire night. The one other thing that was wrong with this segment, which overall was a good segment, is that it just hammers home something that we say here and have said here for the last 5 years that we've been here on YouTube, that when the old guard comes back around and you give them a microphone, it just shows that the new generation cannot hold a candle when it comes to charisma, crowd connection, and cutting a promo. John Cena in there with Roman Reigns, he just swallowed him up. He swallowed him up. And it's obvious. It's just the biggest problem with the superstars in the WWE today. They lack the proper charisma. They don't have real connections with the crowd, and their promo skills are not as good as they should be. John Cena came in during his time and went above and beyond guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, and some of the greatest microphone commanders wrestling has ever seen. From Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes and Randy Savage all the way through the history of pro wrestling. John Cena was able to do that. He was able to tap into it. But these other talents, they just don't get it. And the rest of SmackDown following this wasn't going to get much better. Next up, we had the Intercontinental Championship matchup. But everybody, fair warning, it's time for, if I can click it correctly, the rematch alert. Rematch alert. How many times have we seen Shinsuke Nakamura in the ring with Apollo Crews? I've lost count. This time, the Intercontinental Championship was on the line. They both had their ridiculous B-acts with them. Shinsuke Nakamura had his B-act, the Boogs, which I absolutely can't stand. And Apollo had Commander Yabba Dabba Doozu. Okay, so both of these guys effectively were interfering, right? They were trying to cause distractions during the match. The referee smartly threw them both out. and sent them to the back. And now, right at that moment is when I knew we were probably going to see a new Intercontinental Champion. I didn't think it was going to happen going in. I thought they were going to kind of string this along and book this to be something to happen for Shinsuke at SummerSlam. But that wasn't the case. It happened tonight. It was about a 10-minute long match, and it was a very good match. These guys have good chemistry. It just kind of came out of nowhere for me. And as much as I dislike Shinsuke Nakamura's association with the Boogs, this kind of makes sense. He's been on a roll. He's been building momentum ever since he took the King of the Ring from Baron Corbin. Shinsuke has been kind of on the up. So why not give him the championship? I don't mind that. I don't think it was a bad decision. I think it makes perfect sense. It doesn't make sense not to do it at the pay-per-view, which is only 7 days away. You know, it would have been better to do it there and pay it off there. It would have been a bigger reaction. Would have been special, a lot more special for Shinsuke, I would think. But even more than that, it's just Apollo Crews really got the short end of the stick. Here's a guy that was given a new gimmick, given a new bodyguard, a new accent, a whole new shtick, and they put the Intercontinental Championship on him and did nothing with it. Nothing. They had something going with Apollo and Big E, and then they ran that shit into the ground so quick that Apollo Crews, even as the Intercontinental Champion, just kind of faded into the background. He kept being put into tag team matches, 6-man matches, and all kinds of nonsense. He wasn't really featured properly as an Intercontinental Champion, and it was kind of dead in the water. There was just nothing there anymore. So it just seemed like the right time to do this. It's just very, very unfortunate that Apollo Crews has to take one for the team here and not even really get anything for it. And I don't think I will ever be into the whole Rick Boogs playing the guitar for Shinsuke. But at least Shinsuke's back on the right track. So that's a positive thing. And unfortunately, we have to go to the next negative thing. Rematch alert, everybody. We had the Street Profits taking on the Alpha Academy. The Street Profits, who didn't get an entrance, just like Apollo Crews didn't have his entrance shown on the show tonight. Street Profits were taking on the Alpha Academy here, and they would beat them in 2 minutes in a filler match, continuing their 50-50 booked feud of nothing for just a little bit longer, and I absolutely could care less. The patron saint of shitty and terrible suits, Seth Rollins, would come out to show us which terrible suit he would decide to wear tonight. Another abysmal outfit, looked like something that my grandmother would have threw away back in the 70s for being too tacky. Ugh. I don't know where he's getting his threads, but he needs to stop. If he's not doing it to troll us at this point, then the man needs to seek professional help, because maybe he's colorblind, or maybe he can't see patterns correctly. Maybe he should seek medical help, because these get-ups, these suits that he comes out with for these promos, they just continuing to get worse and worse. Just like his promos, they just are the same thing every single week. If he could add a little bit more color into his promos, as much as he likes to add the color into the suits he's wearing, we might get something a little bit more entertaining. I mean, Seth Rollins was okay here, but this was pretty much the same shit I say every week promo, with a little bit of something different thrown in, because he wants the fans to thank him for Edge being back in the WWE. Some reason he wants to take credit for this. He thinks it's all him, all on him that Edge returned, and we should be grateful to Seth Rollins for this. If Seth Rollins wants to give out some glasses to help protect our eyesight from having to see his suits, then I would be a little bit grateful, but I'm not going to be grateful for that. He would go on to compare himself and Edge's career and all the similarities that they entailed, which is what made Edge call him Edge Light, and then he went on to threaten to end Edge's career in a line that I think we all were able to see coming. it was just more long and boring stuff. He tried to make it interesting by referencing things like the Brood and talking about their Money in the Bank wins and how everything kind of mirrored each other, but the fans weren't into it. They kept chanting for Edge, who was not on the show tonight. And I guess we'll have to wait and see what Edge has to say on the Go Home show next Friday. And once again, see, I'm not used to this on SmackDown so much. This is usually a thing for Monday Night Raw, but unfortunately, we have to sound the alarm because we're getting another rematch. The Mysterios! Tiny Dad and Giant Baby Man Son, they went out there to fight the Dirty Dogs. Again. You know, because the only other two tag teams in the division already had a match tonight. So what the hell else can we do? They're not going to have a match against the Usos 7 days before a match they're going to have with the Usos at SummerSlam. At least they didn't do that. But at the same time, we're not seeing anything important here. This match went on for about 3 minutes and was a whole bunch of nothing. The only thing that I found kind of interesting was that between the little interaction between Ray and Dominic backstage prior to the match and some of the slight miscommunications that I was seeing, they may be planting the tiny seeds of tension between Tiny Dad and his giant baby man son, which is something we've been calling for a while. There's some cracks that seem to be very slowly starting to show. It seems as if Dominic's starting to question Dad and maybe is looking to go out his own way. I would be more than happy for them to do this. I wanted them to do this coming out of WrestleMania so that going into next weekend SummerSlam, we could have Ray versus Dominic. And it doesn't deserve to be something that's just put on a throwaway September or October pay-per-view. Maybe Survivor Series would be fine or the Rumble would be fine, but if you're not going to do it now, start it now and pay it off at WrestleMania. Have it be Ray's last match. Have Dominic take the mask. Whatever. We can make it so interesting. It'll be way more interesting than watching them fight the fucking Dirty Dogs again. Because nobody wanted to see that, especially not me. But at the end of the day, what are we watching here? We're watching the same shit. And then the Usos pop up on the Titantron. The match was going on for about 2 minutes. Usos pop up trying to make the distraction. And I guess cost the Mysterios this match. But it was all for naught, as the Mysterios would go on to win with a roll-up, the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. Everybody should learn that move. You'll be a champion in no time. I didn't care much about this. The match with the Mysterios and the Usos next Saturday at SummerSlam is going to be great. I feel like it is going to be probably one of the shows that could steal the whole, one of the matches that could steal the whole show. But we'll have to wait and see. Something else I really didn't care about was bum-ass Baron Corbin. This guy, day by day, is coming out looking more and more disheveled. He's letting his hair grow out. His beard looks ridiculous. I feel like he stayed up all night just to make sure that his eyes and his body looked like complete and total shit. Because Baron Corbin came out and he looks bad. And at one point during the show, Pat McAfee called Baron Corbin bum-ass Baron Corbin, which is something we've been calling him for quite some time. I haven't seen anybody else, for the most part, use it on social media, which leads me to think one of three things. Either Pat McAfee said this completely by coincidence, or 2, he reads my tweets, or 3, he watches the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. Pat McAfee, you're fucking fantastic. If you're watching my show and you're taking my words, at least find a way to give me a little nod in there once in a while. This is something. I dig you. You're cool. I like how you do. You're all hype. You're all dancing and shit. But don't steal my stuff, bro. Or if you're gonna steal my stuff, at least give me some credit. One way or another. More than likely, this was a complete coincidence, and I'm absolutely delusional. But I digress. Bum-ass Baron Corbin comes out. He's got an a credit card scanner on his phone. He wants people to donate to him. He wants the fans to give him money. This prompts Kevin Owens to come out and, out of the goodness of his heart, because Kevin Owens is a decent, genuine human being, he wants to offer Baron Corbin $1,000. But all Corbin has to do is beat Kevin Owens on SmackDown tonight. Which he didn't. Kevin Owens won. But the match itself was pretty good. And I'm not used to saying that. I'm going to go on record to tell you guys right now, this was probably one of Baron Corbin's better matches that I've seen him have in recent time. In quite some time. His character needed to show how much he needed to win this match. And Corbin did that. He wrestled with a great sense of urgency, with desperation in his eyes, and almost with a never-say-die attitude. And the fact that he went 10 minutes long with Kevin Owens is a testament to the guy. And the way he performed in this match, the story he was telling, was very good. It was very good. He really made it seem like he needed to beat Kevin Owens more than anything else in this world. Unfortunately, I just really don't care. Too much damage has been done to guys like Corbin and guys like Jinder, and right now guys like Drew McIntyre and guys even like Roman Reigns. From the beginning, you push them all these different ways and none of them work. And Baron Corbin's been hot listed for stardom and then pulled off as punishment and then put back up on the top. It's just, he's been everything from a dumbwaiter to a commissioner or a general manager to now a complete and total fucking bum. And I'm not going to be rooting for Baron Corbin to succeed. And I certainly hope that the WWE doesn't have the asinine idea to, have the King of the Ring, which we're going to be having again very shortly, and then, do the little George Lucas, it's like poetry, it rhymes thing, and have Corbin, reascend to becoming King of the Ring again, and that's going to be the thing to turn him around. I don't ever want to see him near a crown again. Keep him out of that tournament. And I don't care what else you do with him. But regardless what you're going to do, guys like bum-ass Corbin and guys like Jinder, they're just never going to do it for me at this point. It's been too much damage for far too long, and it's pretty much irreparable. I don't care about these characters. I care about as much about those characters as I do about a contract signing. When the WWE does contract signings, nobody does them worse. I was almost hoping and kind of expecting them to go the serious route here. I thought they would, after all the shenanigans of the heel turn last week by Sasha and hitting Bianca with the backstabber, ending the show with her in the bank statement, I thought Sonya Deville being there was going to make this a very serious and very intense situation. Instead, what we got was the typical WWE nonsense. They had their back and forth bickering between Bianca and Banks. The B word was dropped. Of course, one of the girls has to call the other one a bitch. Both of the girls, when they came out for this thing, got a decent reaction from the crowd. Sonya Deville was trying to keep things in line. She's demanding that they both sign the contract before things got out of hand as they began to argue. But then Sasha Banks started to fuck around, right? She teased signing, but she said, you know what, before I sign this, I want some witnesses. I don't know where this came from. I don't know if this is a thing that somebody thought of in the back and said, hey, you know what would be a great idea? Let's take two completely irrelevant characters who have failed at every opportunity to capture the women's championship and have no business being even within a mile of this contract signing, and let's have them go out there as Sasha's witnesses so that they could try to jump Bianca Belair. Carmella and Zelina Vega were sent out during this for no reason. Sasha Banks was calling Bianca Belair a rookie. She said, "Rookie, I'm always 2 steps ahead." And then Sasha Banks signed the contract. Bianca Belair threw the contract into Sasha's face after she signed the contract, and then we were off to the races. There was the brawl. The other 2 girls came in. Bianca Belair easily dispatched of the both of them. Before you know it, it was back down to a one-on-one with the champ and the challenger, where the challenger, Sasha Banks, came up with the better end of the deal, hitting the bank statement once again, wrapping it in with Bianca's ponytail as SmackDown goes off the air pretty much the exact same way it did last week. So as you can tell, lots of ups, lots of downs. I'm sure Simon's going to be slapping himself all over the place and doing his whole thing. It was kind of a roller coaster tonight on SmackDown. I enjoyed bits and pieces for the most part. Everything after the Roman John Cena situation just kind of all snowballed downhill from there. Nothing really that exciting. I'm happy for Shinsuke winning the Intercontinental Championship. There was some decent action in that match. Corbin and Owens were surprisingly entertaining and athletic, but overall SmackDown's like a middle of the road show. Does it deserve a big fat stinky poop hammer? Absolutely, especially taking into account how they booked that contract signing, the fact that we had over almost 3, it wasn't 3, I think it was 3 rematches on this show. Forced me to pull that alert up all these times on this show. And that's never a good sign. I don't like seeing the same shit over and over again, WWE. But that's what we get. I did dabble in AEW Rampage tonight. I watched the 1-hour-long show. I tuned in about 25 minutes too late because honestly, I don't really care. I want to watch the one that comes from the United Center in case that has anything of importance happening to it. The first dance one. But overall, Rampage was only made good for the same reasons why, like, WCW Thunder was good back in the day. You know, I used to like Thunder as opposed to Nitro, but the only reason I really liked it was because it was significantly shorter than Monday Nitro, and I think the same is holding true right here. AEW Dynamite is just, I don't know. You guys know how I feel about AEW, but I thought I'd be fair. I'd give Rampage a shot, and it was enjoyable for the most part, but probably because it was over in 60 minutes. Before I could really truly start to get agitated, it was over. I didn't really care for the main event, but again, that's another story for another day. If you enjoyed tonight's SmackDown, let me know in the comments section down below. Don't forget to do all the YouTube things you got to do while you're down there. Like this video, share this video, and if you're not already a member of the Sledge Nation, become a Sledgehead right now by hitting that subscribe button. Make sure that notification bell is on so that you do not miss a thing whenever we drop a video where we bring the hammer down on the WWE like nobody else does on this platform. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team Thor, the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in the world, Mr. Blue, the Yeti microphone, the most important member of the team as always, each and every one of you. If you missed anything on the channel, it'll be linked in the annotations up above, and I will see you all Monday night when we bring the hammer down on Raw's Go Home show for SummerSlam 2021. That, my friends, is going to do it. We are out of here. We will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com.
Thanks, Vince. Oh.